Welcome to Reverse Mortgage and Beyond, the podcast where we take you inside the world of reverse mortgages. I'm Cheryl Scheidell, and I have been in the mortgage industry since 2002 and have specialized in reverse mortgages for the past 10 years. We'll cover topics like reverse mortgage basics, purchasing a home, and the myths about reverse. You'll also hear from some trusted referral partners. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reverse Mortgage and Beyond. I'm your host, Cheryl Scheidell, with Barrett Financial Group, and just wanted to let you know that I've got past episodes that you can watch about reverse mortgage basics, the myths about reverse, how to purchase a home with reverse, but I also have some referral partners in there that I really want you to go back and check out their podcasts as well. And today I have a special guest in, Miss Lydia Wietsma from NextHome Realty. And Lydia and I actually have a radio show on Sundays that I always like to plug. Her show is on. I'm going to have her tell you about it. She's on at 3 o'clock on Sundays on AM 960. I'm on at 3:30 AM 960, and it's called Is Your Reverse Mortgage Right for You? And you can also go to that podcast to listen to some past episodes as well. But today I'm joined with Lydia, and I'm going to have her talk about her background first, and then we're going to dive into some questions because, we're going to talk about probate real estate today. And she's an expert. She works with a lot of families with fiduciaries and attorneys, and we're just get down to the nitty gritty, the basics, so we can understand how all this works. So give us your background, and then we'll start from there.
Okay, so my name's Lydia Wietsma, and I'm a certified senior and probate real estate specialist. I work with families when they are dealing with probably the worst time of their life, when someone has passed and they have to go through the probate process. So that's what I do. I deal with a lot of attorneys, the probate courts, judges, fiduciaries, wealth management companies, things like that.
Good. So. And tell us about your radio show and your book.
So I wrote a book a year ago called Solving Life's Next Chapter. It's all about the probate stories that I've done in the last 23 years.
And stories that people don't even probably think about.
Don't even think
like,
about.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that.
Yep,
could happen.
Yep. Lots of, I've just had a few new ones recently. And so out of that book came the radio show Solving Life's Next Chapter. I'm on from 3 to 3:30, right before Cheryl's is a reverse mortgage right for you. 960 AM The Patriot, and same thing. You can look at past shows on the
website. Yeah, perfect. Good. Okay, so let's just start with what does probate mean?
Okay, so probate. Now I'm going to give you a little disclosure. I am not an attorney, but I work with a lot of attorneys, so I know a lot about these things. So when I educate people, I like to tell them that. But a probate is when someone has assets that are not in any kind of a trust or document that's written down on who they're going to be passed to. And so probate is when someone has to pass their assets from their name to somebody else's name.
So, and whether or not they have a will. So,
correct. So if they don't have a trust in place, they have to go through probate. Now, some people, especially people in the Midwest and back East, they do a lot of wills. Wills are the written instructions that are in a trust. So yes, you can do a will, but you'll still end up in probate court.
And I tried to explain that to somebody I'm like, those were just the instructions.
That's it. That's all they are. So a trust is, it's kind of the mother load up here, and then under the umbrella, and then under that you have your will, your powers of attorney, your directives, all of your assets. So it kind of encompasses all of it.
And it's telling your adult children, it's telling your beneficiaries, your close friends, whomever, this is important stuff. These are my wishes. That's why I always tell my clients, put my business card in with your important paperwork, because when the reverse mortgage comes due, I'm going to be able to help them out.
Yep.
So, okay, keep going.
Yep. So that's basically what probate is when you have to go to the courts, and literally, if you don't have a trust in place, the judge has to decide who the heirs are, what did this person really want to do with all their assets?
So when we're being proactive and we have this in place, we're actually helping the whole system.
Absolutely.
The court system, right? We're helping everybody, but we're being proactive.
And if you have a trust, your heirs are going to get more money because you're not having to go through that probate court. So
right, because they're going to pay too.
Yes.
Yes, the cost.
The
So
cost is
be proactive.
amazing. It's really, I've seen some bad situations.
Yeah. So when it comes to selling a home,
yes.
can a property be sold before probate is completed?
So it can. What a lot of the attorneys have done over the years, at least in my cases, is you have to wait for the person that's going to sign off on everything. So that is a document that you get from the courthouse. It's called a letter of authorization.
Okay.
And say you are looking to do that for your family. You would go to the courts and you would say, I would like to be the person in authority to take care of this estate.
Okay.
So once they say, okay, put the stamp of approval and say, yes, you are the one, you would be the one to sign off on all the documents, the listing documents, the title documents, any banking accounts, things like that.
Okay. Okay.
So once you have that letter of authorization, we can list the home, and it still may have to go through the probate process. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take the funds of the house and they'll put it into an estate, a bank account.
Okay.
And so nobody touches it until the final judge, has their discussions on who's going to get what.
Okay. And that's why it's important to have a trust in place.
Absolutely.
Because you wouldn't have to wait. Because that
Yes.
might be 6 months to a year out.
Oh, it can be a very long time. And if the family's fighting with each other, it can be even longer.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So
Yep.
get along with your family member,
Yes,
right?
I
Right.
definitely agree with that.
So as far as who has the legal authority to sign, that's
It would
what you're
be the
talking about.
authorization. Yep.
Okay. So what is the role of the personal representative or executive in the selling? Same thing?
Same thing. So that
Okay.
would be the person in charge of signing off on everybody, or everything, I should say. And they would be the ones to make major decisions on, listing documents and banking information and making sure that the attorneys are getting paid and the taxes are getting paid and the courts are getting paid.
Oh
And
my gosh.
everybody wants to be the head person,
Mhm.
but they don't realize how much work is actually involved in that.
Yes. Well, as a matter of fact, my namesake, Cheryl, her brother passed away during
Mhm.
COVID. During COVID.
Yes.
And they're still dealing with some stuff
Yes.
with all
Yes.
that.
So-
years later.
Yep.
4 or 5 years later.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
It is. And unfortunately, the ones that are going to make all the money are the courts and the attorneys. It
Yes.
really is
Yes.
unfortunate.
I
Yeah.
mean, they got they got all the stuff, but they're dealing with taxes right now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just, that's a whole nother
And that's the one thing that I
can
always,
of worms.
yes. So I always tell people, the attorneys will say this as well, but when they start a probate process, you have to do a final tax return for the deceased. And it's
I
basically,
wouldn't have done that.
exactly. And it's basically a document that the CPA will put together or your tax attorney will put together. And it basically shows the government that they are no longer around, so that they passed and they're deceased.
Okay.
So if you sell a home, say January, February, March, you have to wait a whole nother year for the next tax time
Oh my
to
gosh.
do that tax return from that year.
Oh my gosh.
So you have to, and I always recommend not dispersing anything
Okay.
once you've gotten until after the taxes are done. Because I've had situations where families sell the house and then they distribute everything. And then the next year they have to do the taxes and there's taxes owed. And the person who is the personal representative for documenting
Has to
everything,
go to all the siblings. Hey, need the
And-
money.
and then they don't have
Have
it
it.
anymore. So the person who's responsible for paying those taxes is you, the personal representative
Oh my gosh.
that
That's
distributed
huge.
everything.
Hopefully everyone was paying attention
Yes.
to that.
Don't distribute until you've done your final tax
Yes,
return.
yes. Or hopefully they're passing towards the end of the year.
Exactly. Or they're selling the house at the end of the year. Correct. Yep.
Okay, here's a big one.
Okay.
What is the difference between beneficiary deed and a trust when it comes to real estate?
So a lot of people try to avoid probate by putting their home in what's called a beneficiary deed. And some states call it the ladybird deed.
Okay.
We in Arizona call it a beneficiary deed.
Okay.
They're great until they're not.
Okay.
So they do avoid probate. So like say I have a house and I want to put my daughter on as the beneficiary.
Okay.
So if I pass, it just automatically goes to her and she can do whatever she wants with
Okay.
it. No probate or anything.
Okay.
What becomes a problem is, say I get dementia and now she has to sell the house to put me in a memory care.
Okay.
She doesn't own it until I pass.
Okay.
So if there's no other documents other than that beneficiary deed, then we have to go through the probate courts to do a conservator guardianship
Okay.
so that she can sell my house and take care of all my finances.
So the
and medical.
POAs don't even help in that case because she hasn't passed. That's
Well,
why you have to do the guardianship.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And a POA is really important. So sometimes that it depends on what the POA, how it's written and how long it's been. So I had a situation years ago where we were selling a home for someone who had moved into assisted living.
Okay.
Her husband, they had started running out of money. So they had just shut their house up and moved into this assisted living 3 years prior and thought, well, we'll eventually get back there. Well, they never did.
Okay.
So now they're running out of money, and her husband was starting to have a little cognitive. He still understood, but just there were some issues there. So we found their trust with their POAs, and it was 20 years.
Oh my.
I mean, it was a 20-year-old trust with 20-year-old POAs. So I sent the POAs to the title company and said, okay, if something happens to the husband and he cannot sign or doesn't understand what he's signing, can the wife sign on his behalf?
Right.
And they looked through the verbiage and there was not the correct verbiage. So that brings up another point as to get all your documents in order, but make sure you get them updated every, I'd say 2 to 3 years.
Yes, that's what I always say to people. I'm like, when was the last time you had that?
Yes.
And then also when you're moving from another state to Arizona,
Yes.
they need to
The
see
rules
so that
change.
yes.
Yes. So we in Arizona have, and it's starting to hit other states, but we have a special POA here. So most states have financial and medical powers of attorney. Because we have so much dementia in Arizona, we have mental power of attorney. So what happens is if you have a diagnosis with Alzheimer's or some kind of other Lewy body dementia,
Right.
if you have the mental power of attorney along with your medical and financial, you're going to be okay. And I will tell you, the medical field is really starting to hone in on this because my daughter's a trauma nurse.
Okay.
And I had a client that moved down here from Colorado. Him and his wife actually had early onset of dementia, like in her 60s.
Oh, wow.
So he couldn't deal with her anymore. So they sold their house in Colorado and moved down here to Arizona because he couldn't care for her. He couldn't care for her. Yes. Couldn't care for her very well.
Yes.
So what happened was he came down here because his parents were living down here, 85 years old. They were healthy.
Oh my God.
And so he said, I'm going to move down to Arizona so you can help me with my wife. Right. So it was progressing really fast. So they kept her at home as long as they could. And then they had to move her into a memory care. He gets a call at like midnight saying your wife was brought in because she was being a behavioral issue, which happens a lot with dementia, right?
Right. Yes.
So he
probably because they moved and she was disoriented.
Yes, that's a lot.
And she was like, "What is going on?
Yeah,
this is not familiar to me."
And there's also, people don't realize there's over 300 types of dementia.
Yeah.
So some of them are very progressive, and some of them have a lot of anxiety with them, and people start getting a little they start being a little combative. So they won't keep them in the memory care if they're like that. They'll take them to the hospital because they can't have people, smacking other residents or going into their room in the middle of the night, that kind of thing.
Oh my goodness.
So he went to the hospital with the documents he had, which were, what he thought he had correct in Colorado. Well, what happens is sometimes when people are going through this, they either are over-medicated, under-medicated, or the medication doesn't work anymore.
So on one.
So what they'll do is they will put that patient in what's called a 2 or 3 week evaluation.
Okay.
They don't take him and leave him in the hospital. They have to put him in a psych ward. And that sounds very harsh, but it really is for the benefit of the patient.
Right.
So they strip them of their medication.
They got to start with the baseline.
They have to see how they react to different things. So to put her in that kind of care and to take her off the medications and to see, put her back on to get her back up to her normal,
place of being.
Normal for her. He needed the mental power of attorney, which he did not have. So he had to go to the probate courts. And even though he had all the documents from Colorado, he did not have the right ones for Arizona.
So he had to
go and get a mental power of attorney at the probate court, go through like a smaller version of a conservator guardianship, which cost him $5,000.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so he always he goes,
And how
"Lydia,"
long did that take to do that?
that one was an urgent situation. So
Okay.
the courts have priorities. And
Okay.
so if it's something like that where they need to put her in some sort of mental institution, they'll do it pretty quick. So
Wow.
yeah, they were pretty good about that. And the doctors will sign off on things like that.
Yeah, that's a
for
pretty
them.
powerful
Yeah.
story. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And an expensive one.
And an expensive one, yes.
But he thought he had done everything
He
right.
thought he did.
And
I actually have another one that we had to go through conservator guardianship, similar situation.
yeah.
So I had a couple that the caregiver, which was the husband, had a stroke and his wife had dementia.
Okay.
So they had to when he had his stroke, he was actually okay, but the doctor said you can't take care of your wife anymore. And so because of that, they had to put her into a memory care.
Okay.
And to sell the house, because both of their names were on title as husband and wife, we had to go through a conservator guardianship to sell the house. So what happens was we had to put her into, somebody had to pay for it up front. And then they had to go through the court process to get him to be able to sign off on everything.
Oh, wow.
So what happened was it's very expensive. So the person who's getting their rights taken away, they get their own attorney.
Okay.
Because the courts take that very serious.
Right.
They're not just willy-nilly taking rights away.
Thank goodness.
Yes. And they got to make sure that she really does have a dementia, situation.
Like the diagnosis. Yeah.
Yes. So she has her own attorney. The husband and a nephew who was going to help them with the finances had their own attorney, and the courts gave them a investigator.
Okay.
And so the investigator is the one that goes to all the doctors to make sure they get the records correct. They talk to neighbors. Do you think she was in her right mind? Things like that. They do all the investigation.
Okay.
They write up a report. They give it to the courts, and the courts review it, and they say, okay, she will need to be deemed incompetent, and we will take her rights away. And so to go through that process just to sell the house, it cost 2 attorneys, an investigator, and the probate court, and that was between $30,000 and $40,000.
Oh my gosh.
Just to go through that process.
And was that paid for from the people or from the house, or how did that all work?
So when we sold the assets,
I can't. How are people finding $40,000 to pay for that?
So when we sold the house, that was paid from that sale.
So it's like held at escrow or paid at escrow.
So we had to pay off the attorneys and everything.
Yes.
And he had to go into an assisted living, and she had to go into a memory care. So her memory care was going to cost more money than his. And so what we did with that situation, the attorney split the funds up, even though they weren't divorced. It was like a divorce.
Right.
So, and it was for state assistance pre-planning.
Right.
So they split the funds up. She had her own account. He had his own account. And she went through her funds within about 2.5 years. And then they were able to put her on Arizona long-term care policies. So those are some of the things that you have to think about when you don't have a trust in place. If you had a trust in place, they would be able to, the documents of who's going to take care of someone that has dementia, what's going to happen, who's going to sign off on the documents if both parties can't. All those documents are in that trust.
And you don't have to be in your 60s or 70s to get a trust. People should get them early on and get their POAs early on.
I had 3 daughters, all of them.
So important.
We got them all done at 18. And here's the reason why you want to do that. And it's really important if you do have an 18-year-old going off to, if you've got an 18-year-old going off to college. So what happens if they get in a car and God forbid they're in a car accident and now they're in a coma? Who's going to make the decision if there's nothing in place? So typically they're going to go to their parents, mom or dad, right? What if you have a mom who says, I'm not ready to let my daughter go, and she's on life support, and the husband goes, I don't want to keep my daughter in life support. So now you have a fight between mom and dad.
Yes.
And it gets even worse if mom and dad are divorced.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So it is good if you have an 18-year-old going off to college or an 18-year-old in general, make sure to get at minimum powers of attorney.
Yes.
But they can get a trust in place because the trust has all of their information like, do you want a feeding tube? Do you want to be put on life support?
Mhm.
Those things are in a trust as well.
Okay.
So, and attorneys usually have a discounted fee for someone who's 18 to say 25.
Right. Okay.
So-
That's good. That's good. Yes. So that's so important, everyone, to just be proactive.
Yes.
And let me see. We'll do one more question.
Okay.
And let's see. What are the most common mistakes families make during the process?
So a lot of the times, there's a lot of issues that can come up, but I would say probably the biggest issue is not getting the professional help right up front as quick as possible.
Because they think they can do it.
They think they can do it, and you can do it.
And when you're saying professional help, are you talking realtors? Are you talking attorneys? Or what are you talking?
Everything.
Okay.
Attorneys, CPAs, realtors right up front, because you can do a probate on your own without an attorney.
Okay.
It will take you longer because you don't know how to fill out the documentation.
Forms, yeah.
And so if you fill out the documentation and you don't fill it out correctly, the courts will kick it out. So every time you're going to the court, it's costing you money. So even though an attorney can be a little more expensive, it is so worth going to a trusted attorney that you can.
Yeah. Time and money.
Time and money. That's really what it is. Yeah. And I have a handful, 2 handfuls of attorneys that I have vetted myself that I highly recommend. So you can always reach out to me.
Good. I am going to ask one more question.
Okay.
What advice do you give families who are struggling emotionally with selling a loved one's home?
So I get that a lot. It can be hard. So I've had families over the years either do a final party at the house. They invite everybody
that's a
over.
good idea.
They do things like that.
Oh, I love that.
I one time had a daughter who was her mother was a big flower person. Garden was really big. We sold the house to an investor. And so I asked the investor, I said, could I take some of those flowers that she's got in that certain area? He goes, absolutely. He goes, we're taking that all down anyway. So I went and I got a really pretty pot and I put a bunch of her mom's bulbs in there.
Yeah.
And we were at title when I gave it to her. She just was bawling. I go, this is from your mom's garden. So, there's different ways of handling it, but really the quicker you can get the house sold, and I know it's an emotional thing, but the quicker you can get it done, the faster you can heal. And it really is more about the memories than the actual house itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always try to tell people, it's the fun times you had at the house. It's not the house itself.
Right.
So,
yeah, the house which is the home.
Right.
And that being said, with the reverse mortgage also, even though you have 12 months to pay back or off the loan, your balance is still going up. So it behooves you to
sell faster.
Yes. To get that out of the name faster.
It really is, because the faster you can sell it with a reverse mortgage, the more money the estate will get.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lydia. We could do another. Why the hell? There's a lot of information. I have to have you back because this is a great information.
I'd be happy to.
And we'll ask some more questions.
Yep.
I learned a lot today. I told my mom years ago, I'm like, you know what? If I'm still gone 30 days from now in a coma or something, I'm having a good time. Let me go. But I had to put that in writing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
I had to put that in writing.
Yep.
So, and then how can people reach you?
So my number is 602-363-1720, or they can reach me at Lydia@ArizonaPowerAgent.com.
Okay. And I'm Cheryl Scheidell with Barrett Financial. I can be reached at 480-817-4324. My website is Reverse Mortgage and Beyond. And I'm so glad you joined us today and look forward to joining us in the future. Great. Thank you. Again, this is Cheryl Scheidell, NMLS number 886425 with Barrett Financial, an equal housing lender. Please remember that loan programs, rates, and eligibility guidelines are subject to change and may vary based on individual circumstances. Nothing discussed in this episode constitute a loan offer or credit decision. Any examples or scenarios shared are strictly for illustrative purposes. All loans are subject to credit approval and underwriting conditions.